You're listening to the Not So Black and White Real Estate Podcast with your hosts, Sir Colin Campbell and Gary A. McGowan.
Good afternoon. It's your hosts, Sir Colin Campbell and Gary A. McGowan, and you're tuned into the Not So Black and White Real Estate Podcast. We're set up here at the Real Estate Growth Summit, and we have a special guest on the studio with us today. The man, the myth, the legend. Who's our guest today?
I don't think David, yet.
David Brosseau, our Canadian director. So, David, give us a 1-minute bio of who you are and why you're sitting in the hot seat today.
Wait, did you tell him this is a hot seat?
He'll find out
I think
soon.
he just did.
Okay, yeah.
1 minute is a lot of time. I don't need that much. I just been in real estate for 15 years. I've been living in the States now for 20-some years. I grew up in Montreal, and I have the privilege of being an operating partner for 2 market centers right now and the regional director for Canada.
Okay,
I'm also married and have 4 kids.
Beautiful. That's the important stuff.
Right, I know.
Yeah, better get that out of the way.
Yeah.
Okay, how does a guy from Montreal end up in St. Louis?
Well, that was quite.
He was
journey.
drafted.
Right. So I got there. I got in the States through hockey. So I got drafted in the NHL, and then playing the minors for about 8 years ish. And after that, stopped. I was living on the East Coast for a while, and then moved to St. Louis through. My ex-wife was transfer, or at the time we were married, I had a business transfer for her career, and I'm like, yeah, sure, let's go check it out. And here we are.
Here we are. St. Louis it is.
That's right.
St. Louis it is.
I always thought it was weird that I was moving somewhere that's the gateway to somewhere else.
Yeah,
right?
Sure enough. Right?
The guy's like, that's fine, we'll make it work.
Well, however, it brought you back to Canada.
I know, and I'm thankful for it. I love being part of this, and it's been an exciting ride.
So now, how did you get into real estate? Because for those who don't know, you're a hockey player. You briefly mentioned you were drafted. So how does an hockey player get into real estate and then become director of Canada?
So when I stopped playing, I have a 15-year-old son. So I stopped playing right around the time that he was born. And I took about a year off of really just being dad and doing nothing else. And during that time frame, I would go to the gym like around lunchtime, and I kept running into this guy that was about my age, like late 20s. And I knew I was unemployed doing nothing. I couldn't figure out why he was able to be there in the middle of the day every day the way he was. So one time I said, dude, like, what do you do? Like, do you work, or like, how does this work? And anyway, so it was in real estate, and I was always intrigued by real estate. I was looking for something that would give me the same freedom that my dad had. My dad is a financial guy, but I didn't care for any of that stuff. So I wasn't going to do that. Corporate wasn't going to work. So real estate was a process of elimination.
Okay.
So you liked nothing else, so you ended up in real estate.
That's what
I freedom, and then eventually things worked out, and here we are. But yeah, I wasn't. I didn't really have a plan.
Okay.
If I'm just being direct with you.
And David, did you start with Keller, or did you start at another organization?
No, so I was in Richmond, Virginia at the time, and I started with an independent there, and I get in it for 4 years before we moved to the Midwest. So I was selling for 4 years. I kind of put a team together to the best of my ability and understanding it. I was selling about 50, 55 homes a year.
Yeah.
But it was like, if you asked me, just said work hard. Like there was no
systems.
No, not at all. Like it was just. I joke. I mastered the Post-it system, and I tell people, don't try it. It doesn't work well.
It's not quite scalable.
It's not.
And that's what you've got on your plate at the moment.
No. There's only so many Post-it that can fit on your steering, right? Like,
Nice. There you go. You got some. There you go.
I like that.
I've been saving that one.
All right.
Yeah. Good. So when you did you have aspirations of taking on, at brokerage and then at an OP level and bigger than that?
I kind of did in a way. I was really drawn to development at the beginning. So really liked to, I wanted to build something. Mm-hmm. And the gentleman I met with at the time was in development, and he and his dad had a development sledding company and was selling those lots or homes or whatnot. And I was always intrigued about standing in the woods in a piece of land, looking at this and say, all right, what can we make this? What can we turn this into? And so yeah, once I got the, I was really, I was going to build something. What it was, a team or development or rehab stuff or I was going to go that anyway.
So you had this aspirations of developing something bigger than just you and your buyer's agent or what have you, and building upon that. You've grown your brokerages, 2 brokerages you're responsible for, and then the number of brokerages here in Canada. How are you looking to grow? Like where are you growing, and what does that look like?
Me personally?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I think I want to grow in a direction of. Have you guys ever heard on my tombstone? I want to see realtor. Like I want to be known as a. Right? You saw that. So, in fact, I was saying that he and I were having this conversation last time I was in Austin, and for me, like I would see like I want to be known as a good. I want to be known. You know what? If I get on your team, I know I'm going to be taken care of. I know you're going to treat me right and going to do the things that you said you're going to do and open the door we agreed upon and that sort of stuff. So when I look at my journey and what's coming down is fulfill my goal of being the best teammate possible for the people around me.
Oh, amazing.
Brilliant. Now, we're starting to get into that point. So let's talk a little bit about leadership. So for someone who has built a team, and then you've owned 2 market centers, and then you were tapped for the responsibility to be that person in charge of Canada, to run Canada. How does one get into a position like that? I know it's said, we grow in. How were you prepared for this that was offered to you?
It's an interesting question. I don't know if you. There's 2 ways to look at opportunities from my perspective. You can write them up and quote unquote chase them, or you can just prepare yourself, keep growing yourself so that when opportunities are ready.
Right.
Okay.
And I think the way I look at the Canadian role is I was privileged to have John Davis as my regional director in the States, and I've listened. I followed his footstep as a coach, if you will, and I implemented what he was teaching us at the market center level. And like we've heard this morning, then you get to a point where it's just a matter of scale, right? Like there's not a lot of change. It just how do you scale it to the next level?
Okay.
So that's how I look at it.
So who would you say has created opportunities for you throughout your career? Who's is responsible for opening doors for you?
Well, Mr. OP has definitely opened up the big because she had no reason to do it at that time, but somehow believed in or saw something in me that made her do it. But as supporting my journey, and obviously has opened up the Canadian door for me like about 18 months ago. Started the role. But I'll say this, ultimately, if or when people want opportunity, there's plenty of people around who probably want to open a door for you, but unless you show up and perform, it's not going to happen. So I like to think that I've performed enough for people to support my goal and aspiration to get more opportunities, I guess.
Okay, brilliant.
So along the lines of leadership, we kind of what you're doing with that and how that you've evolved that leader of many different brokerages and right across Canada. What are you saying to those that you're leading and coaching at the moment?
I think the biggest message, well, let me put it this way. What I believe is that opportunity has to be driven. So if it's a team leader, if it's an agent, if it's an operating partner right now in our system that is looking to add to their plate, then the performance has to match their wishes, right? And I think we're all guilty sometimes of having a bit of a gap there, like what we want where times doesn't always match, and that creates some challenges. But I think anyone I talk to that is looking to add from an opportunity perspective, I would say then focus on performance. And then if they're happy with what they have, but they still want my help, and they're looking to say, well, what's up for me in terms of what I have? I always growing their leadership, because I believe top agents do really well with the real estate aspect of things, but I think their biggest gap is on the leadership, and oftentimes that's where their ceiling comes from.
Okay. Now let me ask you this: as a leader, what are the questions you're asking yourself now, so that you can think bigger and push your boundaries, expand your limiting beliefs?
Man, that's another really
That's a
good
deep question,
Yeah,
man.
that's-
Holy moly.
Well, we're going down this rabbit hole, so let's continue.
Holy cow. Can I get a lifeline?
Yeah.
Call
He's
my
like,
mom?
phone a friend.
Right.
Do you want a Coke or a Sprite? That's what he's expecting. Now he forgets the question.
Right. That's I did actually. Can you say that again to me?
Just questions you're asking of yourself to
Right.
push your thinking.
So I believe. So to me, leadership is it's a part between me and the other person, right? So going back to what I was saying earlier, I think the question I ask myself every day is like, all right, was I the teammate I strive to be today? Like if I'm leading you, if I'm responsible to help coach you, mentor you, have I done it in such a way that you still want a teammate tomorrow?
Okay.
That's how I look at it.
Okay, let's talk about growth and the growth of under a brokerage or a team, and I think the question will kind of encompass kind of different levels of it. What do you think that's missing in the growth of a team or the market, or even our brand here at Keller Williams? What do you think is the missing element at the moment?
I don't think it's something that's necessarily limited to. I think, in my experience, anytime there's a gap in growth, there's a alignment.
Okay.
You can't, I can't go 100 miles an hour down the front with a spare tire.
Right.
Right? So I think anytime. So for me, if I just look at my journey, my businesses, whatever I'm involved with, if there's if I'm in a slump, right,
Yes.
or if things are going down, I look at what's out of alignment. Is it a system? Is it a person? Am I missing a person? Do I have the wrong person, or are we using the wrong system, or are we not effective? But that is preventing us from the effectiveness that we need in order to keep growing.
Okay.
So for me, that a lack of alignment can be very costly, in my opinion.
Right.
Now, with as leaders in role, there are times when we have to make very tough decisions and cut business tied with certain individuals or part ways, go a different direction. An easy conversation for you, and what helps in your decision making to know when it's time to cut ties with a teammate?
Yeah. I think this isn't going to sound right. It's easier now than it used to be.
Okay.
And here's why. I'm much systematic way than I do. Therefore, 9 out of 10, the system is the bad. Like, I'm not necessarily the bad guy. I'm saying, hey, you know what? We agree on this. This is what we were going to do. It's not happening. What's our next step? What would happen? And so. It's not. I don't think it's ever an easy conversation, but I think I understand the importance of it now more than I used to, and they're afraid of it, I guess.
Okay.
Or along the line of conversation about the system or the standard, not necessarily the individual.
It's never about the person. I think I don't. I mean, same thing for you. You personally surround yourself idiot, right? Like,
I try to avoid them.
Yeah.
So really, like, if you get in business, like, you get to a point, it's not working. They're not a bad person. They're not a bad mom or father, or they're not a bad brother or sister. This isn't working anymore. Like, there's a gap. There's a lack of alignment, and we're not. And if you think about a team, if I keep you on board and try to make you do things that you don't like to do or you don't want to do, or we're not good teammates for each other.
Right.
That's not going to work.
Kind of show themselves the door in a sense.
Yeah, essentially. In fact, I officially only literally fired one.
Is that right?
Okay.
But I've had, I don't know, maybe 7 to 10 that said, hey, you know what? I don't think this is right.
Right. Okay.
So, I was digging for notes
digging
here.
for
I'm
something.
worried.
Yeah. So this is something to do for fun.
Okay.
And because Colin got deep on us.
Yeah, we need to change it.
I know, exactly.
Let's see if I can bring this up here. So I ask you questions, yes or no, or one-word answers. Are not serious at all.
They're very serious.
They're very serious. Okay, so here we go. Rapid-fire questions. Let's see if we can make this happen. We'll see if we can make this happen. Anyways, we're waiting for our music. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh.
Hang on.
Let's get the fireplace going.
I
Look at
know,
this
yeah,
thing.
it's looking good. Let me flip this
I
around.
think it's Christmas. Get a little hot cocoa.
Here we go.
Yep.
There we go.
Cookies.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. We normally have music, but I don't know what's going
It's
on.
okay.
That's all
So
right.
let's just start with an easy one. Would you rather be texting or talking?
Text. It depends on the circumstances, but texting. I
Texting.
guess.
Okay. Is it wrong for a vegetarian to eat animal crackers?
There's a big one now. Take your time on this.
I think it might be wrong to be vegetarian.
That's the first time we've had an answer like that. I love it.
That's what I wanted. I wanted the horns. I got crickets. It all works, right? In the end. Okay, there you go. Favorite junk food?
Hamburger.
Music. Now our music's coming.
Hamburger.
Oh yeah,
Sweet.
nice
Hamburger.
cheeseburger.
There we go. Yeah. Name one of the 7 dwarfs.
Oh,
Oh my God, I can see them. I can't remember them. You'll have to pass.
Pass. Okay. The number one answer has been sleepy.
Oh.
And we always tell people do not read into the answer.
Right. All right.
Is double dipping at a party ever acceptable?
Depend what party you're at.
attaboy.
Well said. Big dogs or small dogs?
No dogs.
No dogs. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you rather cake or pie?
I'll go cake.
Cake. The Godfather or Star Wars?
Godfather.
Oh,
There you
okay.
go.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Why are we asking that question?
Fair enough.
Like The Godfather or Frozen? Hello?
Yeah. We're gonna ask this. We're gonna ask this question just because we can, because we have them in the hot.
Yeah.
Are women ever complicated?
Always.
Yeah.
Always. Wow.
And would you?
I have
rather-
3 daughters. So
There you go. You can.
I
You're
get a lot of practice.
qualified to say it.
Yeah.
That's right. And finishing off here, would you rather climb a mountain or jump from a plane?
Jump from a plane.
Oh,
I
there
did
you
it.
go.
You did
well
it.
done.
Yeah. Skydive. It's
Yeah.
awesome. Cool.
Okay, that's on my list.
Yeah.
Where did
very
you do
good.
it?
I did it a long time ago, right outside Montreal.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd do it again, but it was awesome.
Okay. So getting ready to, you're up there, you're extremely high, and then that fear of jumping. What is going through your mind just before you take that leap?
So I did. I guess they call it like a tandem jump, right?
Yeah,
Like you're
where
hooked
you-
at, right?
yeah.
So it doesn't really matter what goes through your mind because when he goes, you're going. So
And you're just along for the ride.
right, like you're just sitting there, and but it's a pretty amazing feeling that you free fall. Like the one I did, it was a free fall for about, I don't know, I'd say 50 to 60 seconds, and it's and then when it opens, it's like,
You're gliding.
oh my God, it's really yeah.
So were you screaming during your fall? Like you
I
say
was
you have.
just trying to breathe through it, man.
You
Like-
say you have 3 girls. So
Yeah.
were you
Well, no,
channeling your
I
daughters?
did, this in my early 20s.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I was just me. So, yeah. So I that's why I'm saying I don't know if I'd do this now. But it was an amazing thrill. Like it was a lot of fun. Climbing a mountain sounds like a lot of work, man. Like
Yeah.
free fall, like coming down a plane for about 2 minutes is better.
Gravity just does the work, right?
You still get a full day after, man. You
That's
can go
true.
golf, you can go to a game, you can go whatever.
No one's ever qualified that or put those two together. You're training for weeks and
Yeah,
months,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's a long commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Full
like
year.
it.
That's right.
I like it. Yeah, a little fun we like to have. So talk to us about what's next for David Brosseau.
That's you know what? I mean, obviously Canada's a huge priority for me. I'm very committed to see us win this real estate game the same way we have in the States. I don't think there's any reason why we can't do it. So, we're 18 months in right now on my journey and planning 2020. And that's a big part of it. I got a taste of real estate investment this year, so I'm pursuing that at a pretty aggressive level.
Nice.
So from a business perspective, those are at the top of my list, and then potentially other market centers in the States that I'm contemplating about. But those are the three things right now that, from a business perspective, I'm focusing on.
Yeah.
Okay. So currently we're at just at around 3,500 agents in all of Canada.
About 38, yeah.
So 38, right? Well, you know that number because you're, yes.
I'm not tracking at all.
Yeah, but it's your number.
That's right.
Now,
But who's counting?
Yeah. Now, with such a big country, 3,800 agents, what is stopping us right now from someone who's coming from the U.S.? What do you see as our biggest obstacle that is stopping us from getting to 10,000 agents next year? Grant Cardone was here the weekend, and he says almost as much as he loves Canadians, Canada, he thinks we're not thinking big enough. I don't know if that is something you can say as a regional director for Canada. However,
well, I won't necessarily say it this way. I'll say it differently. I think we're way too humble, and I think we have like one foot on the gas and one on the brake.
okay.
And I don't think we have any reason for that. Like I think we have a lot of quality people, and I think we have a great opportunity to be disruptive, when we choose to. And I think once we create that alignment and people feel confident about what we can do and who we are, then we can dictate the pace. But right now, I feel like we're the pace is dictating us, if you will.
Right.
Right. So I like to go the other way around.
Okay, so what is stopping us from getting to 10,000 agents next year?
Well, I mean, I love it next year. I mean, that's a big number to stretch to. I think of it this way, right? Like if you look at it from an agent perspective, like getting to 50 transaction may be your toughest stretch, but going from 50 to 100 goes a lot faster.
Yeah.
Right? And then once you get to 100, to actually go from 100 to 200, you can do it that much faster. So I think so, and a market center is the same thing, right? Once a market center gets to 250 agents, or a brokerage gets to 250 agents, like getting to 400 happens a lot faster. So I think it's the same thing from a regional perspective, right? As a country, as a company, as KW Canada, once we get to 5,000, I think the pace after that's going to go that much faster. So not that I don't want to get to 10,000 next year, but I think I look in incremental growth.
Of course.
So to me, once we get to 5, and we should be able to get to 5, if not by the end of next year, for sure, 2020, sometime 2021. And then I think after that is when things start happening significantly faster.
Okay. What specifically we can do to help get to that number of 5,000 next year?
We need about 1,500 more agents.
Okay. What can we do as you with us
Sure.
right now, or as
I think-
agents
I
in
think-
our brokerage?
I think it's just being purposeful. But see, the way I look at Keller Williams, so when I was an athlete, the thing I liked the most about it was to have teammates, right? To be in the locker room, to have guys, and have a purpose to go out together and compete and all this stuff. And I think to me, the Keller Williams platform has allowed me to duplicate this in business, right? So I look at Canada like we just need to teamify and understand the opportunity that we have, and just let's go out and compete together and take it over.
Yeah.
So specifically would be to just support our local market centers and our ALCs and one another, and find other talented people that want to be part of this journey, and just have them come and join us.
Okay.
I like it. Well, success breeds success, right? And I think it's just talking more about our success as well.
Right,
You know?
and I think I'm a firm believer in humility and being humble, but I think sometimes people have a hard time drawing the line between confidence and cockiness. And I think we have room to be significantly more confident without having to worry about being cocky. Like I think we're I think we're great, and we're our worst enemy by being overly humble.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. We've been talking a lot about that at our market center. Is let's celebrate some of our victories, or some of our top agents, and even agents that went from 10 transactions to 20 transactions. That's a big deal. Like,
My
how do we
God,
celebrate
that's huge.
that?
Yeah, 10 to 15, you should have a party.
Exactly, right?
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So Colin's favorite question, so I get to ask it.
Yes.
As we wrap up here, what does success look like for you?
Freedom.
Yeah. You know what I love about that? Sorry, I'm going to jump in. That has been an ongoing trend all day. I love it.
Really?
Yeah.
I want money doesn't drive me. I mean, I like it, but it's not a driver for me. But having the freedom to make decisions without having to think about it has been it's by far what I'm pursuing every day.
Fantastic.
Before we wrap up, final question is, what are your, instead of question, it will be a statement from you. What are your final thoughts?
From a real estate perspective, whatever I want.
Yes.
He wants a Sprite, by the way.
I tell you,
Actually, maybe something harder. I don't know.
my final thoughts would be, what an awesome event we at right now. Like, I think I'm excited to see what Volume 2 looks like next year,
Yes.
and to have people like you guys doing this stuff and having 600 people in the other room listening to top people and masterminding and learning from one another and all that. And then, unfortunately, watching snow coming down. That's the only part that, like the ocean or a beach would be awesome right
How do we
there.
change that?
But I think it's a privilege to be here and to be part of it. And I think I'm excited about start building the same event for next year again.
Yeah, truly. That's amazing. I mean, 2 years ago, we asked and kept asking. We really wanted a Canadian event.
Yeah.
And here, the snow is giving us that.
True,
right?
that's epic.
True.
You know what?
Canadian event.
It wouldn't be right without it, actually. You
Yeah,
know
all
what?
our-
Like, it wouldn't be right without the snow.
All our friends from the States. That's so
right.
true. Well, David, it's been a pleasure having you here, and thank you for your leadership and keep pushing us in the market centers. That just gets trickled down, so we appreciate your time and your knowledge, and thank you.
Well, thank you, both of you. This was awesome.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, fellas.